Last night was a huge night of sports in the big town. You had your baseball, you had your football, you had your tennis. Who were the winners last night? Well, the winners were a lefty from Spain and your New York Mets. At Citi Field in New York, the New York Mets play the Pittsburgh Pirates. Tuesday Night Baseball on SNY is presented by Delta. Mets baseball is presented in HD by IOTV. Get your HD free with IOTV. And a pleasant good evening, everybody, and welcome to Citi Field. Gary Cohen, Ron Darling with you. Keith Hernandez joins us momentarily. Mets and Pirates play Game 2 of their 4-game series tonight. The Mets won last night 1-0 in 10 innings. Terrific starting pitching by the rookie Dylan G. Now tonight, R.A. Dickey takes the ball looking for his 11th win of the year.
Well, R.A. was a story from the Mets, and now he has become the story. He's won 10 ball games. The Mets are 13-9 in his starts, and in the first inning, he's very stingy. Hitters are only 10 for 76 so far this year, and he's going up against Zach Duke. Zach Duke is a pitcher, #1 pick, who came up for the Pittsburgh Pirates, and in his first year was 5th in the Rookie of the Year voting. Since then, it's really been a slog, as he's lost at least 13 games in his last 3 seasons.
But he beat the Mets in his only start against them this year, outdueling Johan Santana 2-1 in Pittsburgh, and he'll try to beat the Mets for a second time tonight. When we come back, Kevin Burkhardt talks with the Mets rookie left fielder Lucas Duda. That's next when we come back to Citi Field. Anything possible by Frostburg Coors Light, the world's most refreshing beer. By Delta, keep climbing. By Toshiba, and by the New York State Smokers Quit Line. Mets and Pirates getting set at Citi Field. Standing by in front of the Mets dugout is Kevin Burkhardt with Lucas Duda.
You know, Lucas, obviously when you come to the major leagues, you want to impress everybody. So how are you dealing with this right now? Obviously you're struggling a little bit. How you doing? How you holding up right now?
Yeah, you know, it's been tough, you know, the first couple of games. But, you know, I'm going to continue to battle, continue to keep going hard, keep playing hard, and hopefully I'll dig myself out of this hole.
What's been the biggest difference you've noticed between pitching in the minor leagues and pitching here at this level?
I mean, there's a lot more movement, and guys own their off-speed stuff, and you just got to adjust, and then hopefully you can make that adjustment sooner than later.
What kind of pressure do you put on yourself when you've had an outstanding year in the minors, and then you come here? What is the pressure that you put on yourself when you got the call to come here?
I wanted to come here and do well, and obviously help the team. But I mean, I haven't done that as of late. But I'm gonna continue to battle and finish out the season strong, hopefully.
Lucas, who have you leaned on? Any teammates or coaches that have particularly helped you, and just kind of you lean on for advice while you've been here?
Yeah, I mean, the staff's been great. The players have been great. Everybody's kind of thrown in to help me out. But yeah, I mean, ultimately, it's up to me to make that change and transition. And like I said, hopefully it comes sooner than later.
Are you now off the field? Are you a guy that'll go home and throw on a movie and forget about it, or are you a guy that takes stuff home with you after the ball game?
Yeah, I mean, I try to just let it roll off the shoulders as much as I can. But sometimes it sticks, and some games are harder than others. But try to just flush it out of the game, and tomorrow's a new day, and see what happens.
What's the best thing about being here? You're a New York Met. You're in the major leagues. I don't know if you thought that at the beginning of the year. So give me the best thing about being here right now.
I'm gonna say the stadium, man. The stadium's unbelievable. The fans too. It's packed all the time. So that was a big.
I thought you were going to go food, but still, City Field works too.
I mean, food's good too here.
Hey, Luke, I'm sure you'll get in the game later today, so good luck when you do, okay?
Thanks, man.
Lucas Duda, maybe we'll see him a little bit later. It's R.A. Dickey's night tonight. Mets go for 2 straight over the Pirates here at City Field. First pitch is next.
How young those people are.
Yeah. That's the one.
Neil Walker had his 18-game hitting streak stopped last night by the combination of Dylan G and the Mets bullpen. The Pirates last night suffered their 95th loss of the season, and tonight R.A. Dickey will try and hang them with number 96.
Yeah, 91 times this year. They've also scored 3 runs or fewer. R.A. Dickey taking on the Pirates tonight. They are 13-9 in his starts this year. 16 of his 22 starts have been quality.
And the Lexus Mets defense, Nick Evans, reward? I guess so. First start of the year with a big hit last night, of course. Evans rewarded with a start in left field, and Tejada back in the lineup, who started the rally with the double, rewarded with a start at second base.
First pitch of the night is a knuckleball low to Andrew McCutchen. McCutchen 1 for 5 last night. He led off the 10th inning with a double last night, and then the Pirates tried to bunt him over to third base. They'll say Tabata couldn't get the bunt far enough away from home plate. Josh Tolley threw on McCutchen, and that helped Isanori Takahashi to get out of that 10th inning and ultimately get the win. And McCutchen bounces one slowly. David Wright has no chance to throw out the speedy McCutchen, who's got himself a dribbler of an infield hit to start the ball game.
Well, the guy you don't want on the bases, McCutchen. 31 stolen bases on the year, caught 9 times. That is just as good as a bunt, isn't it?
Well, you know, Keith, they want him to bunt more, and David Wright was playing back as far as you can play, so that turned into almost like a bunt. He could do that 15, 20 times a year.
So the leadoff man on. Here's Tabata, who was 1 for 5 last night, had a 2-base hit. And the knuckleball boxed by Blanco. Ball 1. Blanco getting the start behind the plate. Josh Tolley has been the regular catcher for Dickey lately, and it was somewhat surprising to see Blanco in the lineup tonight.
Is he changing up just because there's a left-handed starter and to give a start to Henry Blanco, I guess. But Tolley's done such a nice job. It was really Rod Barajas who had the most difficulty catching R.A. Dickey.
Blanco with great numbers, throwing out base runners this year at age 38.
Still can throw.
And Tabata fouls off the knuckleball. It's 1-1.
I don't know if it holds true today, but when we were kids growing up, Gary, Ron, I remember my father always saying the easiest way to the big leagues is to be a good defensive catcher. If you can catch, you'll find a way to the big leagues. Fortunately, I was left-handed.
Well, left-handed relief pitcher, that's a pretty good way also, and you can last forever. Slow ground ball. Tejada will have to make the play to first, and that's the first out of the night. Tabata retired. McCutchen moves up to second. By the way, Keith, welcome to the broadcast.
I know.
Were you disinvited from the opening tonight?
I was. My feelings were hurt. I was in the press room pouting.
Yeah, I'm sure you were.
Did we have to send somebody in for an intervention to get you into the booth?
No, I watched the Open too. I was very impressed.
In HD?
I thought I was home in Sag Harbor watching. Because usually when it's just you two, I'm off.
Did you have your feet up?
Pardon me?
Did you have your feet up?
No. I had to be prepared to come in here and do the Lexus Mets defense.
Well, you know, it was nice. They didn't keep us on too long either and went right to Lucas Duda, who was outstanding. And thanks to him for doing that interview. Realize how young these players are.
Neil Walker fouls it off 1-1.
It was a nice interview, and you can tell. I remember when I was a rookie, and in St. Louis, smaller market, Jay Randolph was the TV guy, and Tim Van Gelder was also one of the sport guys. There was a backup quarterback. I remember doing my first interviews on TV. I was a nervous wreck. I stuttered and stammered. Basically made a fool of myself.
Let's see how far you've come.
How far is that?
I left it open.
2-1 to Walker. Dickey, who's had extraordinary control this year, misses low and away, and it's now 3-1. In fact, Dickey's in the top 5 in the National League in fewest walks per 9 innings, which is stunning for a relief pitcher. He's at 2.1 walks per 9.
Plus, he's very quick home, hard to steal off of.
Lined into center field. Coming on quickly is Beltran to make the grab, and hustling back to second, McCutchen. 2 down.
A nice break by Carlos here. Good base running by McCutchen. Watch him here. Comes halfway down the line, looking over his shoulder, makes the read, plenty of time to come back. It's good base running. Good base running. A lot of guys will be going back and forth. that ball drops and scores. You know, getting back to Duda and his struggles, and I could just see myself when I was 20 years old in the big leagues and overmatched, and I was struggling, and I got sent down. Now, I wasn't in a 1 for 30 plus, but let me tell you something. When you're 5 for 35, it's just as bad as a pass ball right there. It feels just as bad as a 1 for 31. Absolutely. So I can just see myself as a young man, but not having, that's actually going to be a wild pitch. It's not in the spotlight of New York, where everything's much more magnified. You know, you're in a small market of St. Louis.
Well, I made 5 starts in September of 1983. Did not win till my last start in Pittsburgh, so I was feeling the heat too.
So on the wild pitch, McCutchen at third with 2 out, and Garrett Jones takes a strike on the inside, 1-1. So I guess your point is that everybody, or at least most players, have been there. Young players struggling in the major leagues. And I guess the question is, what is it that ultimately gets you over the hump?
Well, you've got to face the demons, and you've got to overcome. The only way to overcome it is to do it, and you need the opportunity. You've got to have the right people in place, because if you've got a manager that loses faith in you, you don't play, how are you going to come out of it?
Down to first base, Ike Davis with the flip to Dickey, and the side retired. So a leadoff single and 1 left at third. Now the Mets come to bat at the bottom of the first with no score. It's the lefty, Nick Evans, and Ruben Tejada both get the starts. Evans' first start this season. He's had 40 starts combined between 08 and 09. Finally gets in there in 2010. Jose Reyes leads off against Zach Duke. And Reyes takes a fastball for a strike.
Zach Duke won't walk too many people, but he gives up tons of hits. Every year he'll lead or be close to leading the league in hits given up. 182 and 138 innings pitched.
Reyes trying to bunt his way on. Jose 1 for 3 last night.
He beat the Mets in Pittsburgh, pitched a fine ball game. He always seems to give the Mets trouble.
Well, Duke is 44 and 68 in his career, but he's 4-1 against the Mets. Reminds me a little bit, not stylistically, but in terms of that disparity of a left-hander the Pirates had in the early 90s named Randy Tomlin, who couldn't beat anybody except the Mets.
He's the one that threw like he was stepped across his body, looked like he was throwing from first base.
Toward the hole, and Reyes has a leadoff hit. So each leadoff batter has gotten the board. Reyes with his 142nd hit of the year. Now has a 6-game hitting streak.
Take a look at the Coors Light Pirate defense. We like McCutcheon out there. He covers a lot of ground, got a good arm, a lot of speed. You can see the arm right there with the outfield assists.
Here's Angel Pagan, stuck in a 3 for 27 slump right now. Shrunk his batting average to 287.
And here's the IOTV pitch differential, and you can see Reyes. It's an awkward swing. Stepping in the bucket a tad, but he kept his hands back.
Well, you have to watch Duke here, and it'll be important for the first base umpire, Fletcher, to watch Duke. 3 balks this season, as he's accused occasionally of 1, having a balk move, and 2, not stepping all the way towards first when he's using that pickoff move.
9 steals in 10 tries with Duke on the mound this year. And Pagan swings and misses the fastball, 0-1.
Been a bit of a slog for Mr. Pagan of late.
He's got a little slow bat working right now.
Just swung right through this.
Well, the right side has been more troubling for Angel all year. And that one gets by Snyder, excuse me, into the backstop. And Reyes to second base.
I think this is a pass ball. This is a play that you hope your catcher's got to make. It's not in the dirt.
It's a changeup, and
I think if you get some leather on it as your catcher, you got to make that play.
Did they rule it?
Wild pitch.
We're 100% of the time. We're scoreboard watching.
3rd wild pitch of the year for Zach Duke. And so the Mets have a runner in scoring position, almost a carbon copy of the top of the 1st inning. And Angel fouls one off, 1-2. Pagan this year with runners in scoring position, 339. That's 6th best in the National League. Although that number's been coming down of late.
Nothing too fancy you're going to get from Duke. He's going to try to keep that fastball down, sink it away from you. He's got a good changeup he'll run away from you, and he'll throw that slider down and in. Now, none of those pitches are meant to strike you out. He doesn't strike out a lot of hitters, but you'll put it in play. And very much like the Reyes hit, a good pitch, down, found a hole.
Comes inside to Pagan 2-2. Duke averages 5.5 strikeouts per 9 innings. So he'll toss one in every now and again, but not a strikeout pitcher of any note. By the way, we referenced Randy Tomlin before. Randy Tomlin was 9-0 against the Mets, 21-31 against the rest of baseball. About that. 2-2. Line toward the middle, and Pagan's got a base hit. That'll chase home Reyes with the game's first run. And the Mets have a 1-0 lead. Pagan drives in his 61st run of the year, and with that run, Jose Reyes now has 627 for his career, now tied with Howard Johnson for 2nd on the Mets' all-time runs scored list.
Well, nice hitting by Pagan. Congratulations to Jose.
Jose Reyes safe at home, safe and secure. New York life. So the Mets lead 1-0. Here's Carlos Beltran as Pagan scrambles back to the bag. Angel with 33 steals on the year, tied for 2nd in the National League behind Michael Bourne. Beltran 0 for 4 last night, hitting at .230 for the year. And the breaking ball away for ball 1.
The IOTV pitch differential. He put it right to the spot. I think you want this pitch up. Up and in, not down and in.
Carlos has looked more comfortable right-handed since the day he returned this summer.
Duke's got to be feeling a little angst because his last start, he only lasted a little over an inning plus before he was lifted. 6 hits, 4 runs.
It was the shortest outing of Duke's career, a 9-3 loss to the Braves. To drop up to 7-13 on the season. David Wright on deck.
you know, the other side of the coin, talking about Tomlin and his success against the Mets. You had a great pitcher in Steve Carlton that had a hard time beating the Mets. Go figure.
But the Pirates during that era of the late 80s and early 90s would run lefties out there, and it didn't seem to matter which lefty, whether it was Zane Smith or John Smiley or Randy Tomlin. The Mets couldn't touch any one of those guys.
Zane Smith. Hard sinker and hard slider. I remember him. He was no day in the park.
One hopper. Walker can't make the play, and everybody's safe. Walker thinking about turning two, gets none.
I wonder if Walker was distracted by the umpire. It almost hit the ump. You see him look at the ump. I think he was distracted by this.
Todd Tichenor, the second base umpire, had to maneuver to get out of the way. So it's an error on Walker.
Oh, Olay.
Yeah, that is a tough play. I mean, the play he wants to make, of course, but definitely distracted by Tichenor.
For Walker, his 7th error of the year. And so, still nobody out. 2 aboard with a run already in, and a chance for David Wright, who has driven in 92 runs this year, tied for 6th in the National League. And he is moving up the Mets' all-time charts as well. He is just 2 RBIs behind Mike Piazza for 2nd on the Mets' all-time RBI list. There are your umpires tonight. Adrian Johnson behind the plate, Andy Fletcher, Todd Tichenor, and now Mike Everett, who had the plate last night, the crew chief at third. Past the mound, right at the bag, Cedeno out at second and out at first, double play. 6-6-3 double play as Pagan moves over to third, 2 out.
Oh, nice play, routine, really. A little bit of footwork.
So now 2 out. Here's Ike Davis. Ike 1 for 4 last night. And he has really picked it up lately against the lefties as he pops one foul. And his success against lefties has pretty much mirrored his season. He got off to a good start, then slumped in the middle of the season. But he's 9 for his last 17 against left-handed pitching, and that has him up to .314 on the year against lefties. Now, as a left-hand hitter, did it take you more time when you got to the big leagues against lefties, or did you hit them immediately?
Well, I can just tell you one thing. I can tell you my first road trip in 1975. We open up in Pittsburgh. We get Jim Rooker, Ken Brett, John Candelaria, and Jerry Royce. 4 games. 4 left-handed. We go to New York. We get Seaver, Koosman, Matlack. I went home hitting around $130.
So you're saying it took a little while.
I was calling home crying to mom.
Well, this is the thing that will drive the left-hand hitters crazy.
Nope. This is what Duke's game is, changing speeds, and gets Ike out in front.
And he strikes him out to end the inning. So the Mets cash 1 run, and Duke avoids further damage with a double play and a strikeout. 1-0 Mets. And the chance to meet Darryl Strawberry and Tom Seaver at Teammates in the Kitchen. Log on to teammatesinthekitchen.com for more information. Second inning, 1-0 New York. Pedro Alvarez leads off and takes the knuckleball for a strike from R.A. Dickey. Alvarez, the New York native, 0 for 3 in his first game back in his hometown. Struck out twice last night. Horace Mann High School. Didn't our producer Greg Picker go to Horace Mann?
Yes, he did. I thought he was the most notable alumni of Horace Mann until Pedro came along. That school's never been the same since.
Alvarez came out of Horace Mann in 2005, went on to Vanderbilt University. Number 2 pick in the draft 2 years ago by the Pirates.
They have 5 number 1 picks on their September roster here.
Whereas R.A. Dickey back in his day was the number 1 pick by the Texas Rangers.
18th pick by the Texas Rangers.
Will roller out to third. And Wright throws out Alvarez, 1 away.
R.A. was everything at University of Tennessee in Knoxville. 38 wins, still the most wins ever by a pitcher. All-American.
So he and Alvarez do have something in common. They both played college baseball in Tennessee.
That's right.
Here's Ryan Domit. Domit's been a hot hitter lately. .327 over his last 14 games. Switch hitter. And he takes low and inside. We haven't seen any switch hitters turn around against Dickey the way you sometimes see against others. And I wonder whether it has to do with that hard knuckleball that looks more like a slider.
I think it's the speed of the pitch, absolutely. You know, because if you're facing the guy that throws the real tumbler like a Wakefield, well, you can kind of gather yourself and wait for that ball to come in and then swing from your shoe tops. Can't do that with R.A.
3-0 to Domit.
Oh, my goodness. The mayor's here
tonight.
That is outstanding.
Enjoying the popcorn. Should let the mayor know that Keith always has floss if he needs it. 3-1.
It's true.
That's with a modified shift on against Domit. And fastball for a strike, 3-2. Ronnie Cedeno on deck.
Is he looking for a walk? 3-1.
Should have been looking for that fastball.
He likes to swing the bat, Domit. Let's throw him another one.
And the knuckleball's high, ball 4. And so Domit's on with a walk, the first given up by Dickey tonight. 1 out and 1 on, and now Ronnie Cedeno. Cedeno 1 for 4 in last night's game, getting a .243 for the year.
I think one of the best interviews I heard Kevin give all season long, he interviewed R.A. Dickey, and his premise is that throwing the knuckleball is hard to keep it in the strike zone. And R.A. disagreed with him, said it's a total misconception. He says, you know what, the ball is moving, and the ball's not always moving the way I want to throw it, but I have an idea where that ball is going, and I have an idea how to throw strikes with it. And I thought that was very interesting coming out of the mouth of a knuckleball.
Well, he just threw a first pitch fastball to Ronnie Cedeno, something we didn't see much of his last start. Beautiful stop by Tejada, and Reyes with the jumping toss. Double play, side retired. Beautifully executed double play. Tejada with a great diving stop, and Reyes going over the runner to complete it for the 4-6-3. That gets Dickey through the top of the second. Nick Evans leads off in the home second inning and takes a strike from Zach Duke. Evans drove in the only run of last night's game with a 10th inning base hit, and so earns his first start of the year. And Nick lines a base hit to open his night tonight.
Well, this is the big blow last night that ended the game in the bottom of the 10th. Hanging slider right through the first and third and short. And a W for the Mets.
Well, Nick Evans had a taste of the big leagues the last 2 years. He had 26 starts in 08, 109 at-bats, 14 starts last year, 65 at-bats, but mired in the minor leagues all this year.
You know, about the instincts of Tejada, we didn't mention it last night in the walk-off win. It was 1 out. That ball was to the left side. Great read by him getting that lead off second base and never hesitated. Knew it was in the hole because he knew where the infielders were.
Evans this year split his year between AA and AAA and hit 23 home runs, most he's ever hit in a minor league season, 80 RBIs, 300 batting average. He's only 24 years old. I mean, because he's been up the last 2 years, I think we think of Nick as being a little more seasoned, a little older than that. And a good changeup by Duke, 1-1. So, you know, he's not a guy who's necessarily dropped off the prospect radar, although he's kind of been out of sight, out of mind this year.
I will say, though, the Mets, he does play the outfield. He can play some infield positions. They need to have someone on the bench at some point next season that has some pop, that can come in and occasionally hit an extra base hit.
Well, that's the role that Fernando Tatis had with this club for a couple of years. Guy who could play any of the corner spots. First, third, left, right, come off the bench and give you a right-handed bat with the capability of hitting one deep.
And unless something changes, you look for Nick, and I know it's a hard thing for young players. Where do you put him? You know, on this team, unless something changes.
I think the Mets just got as much as they could out of that tank of Tatis. He was getting older, and they got a couple of nice years out of him.
1-2 to Blanco, and he struck him out with a changeup. Second strikeout for Zach Duke. First out of the inning.
Good changeup away. Starts away and moves away on Henry. They've done a nice role on that. David Easley had an outstanding year in his year with the Mets.
Remember the tying home run he hit in the 9th inning in Anaheim against K-Rod with 2 out.
Well, this is the play that ended the inning, last inning. This is as fine a double play as you're going to see. A great play by Tejada. But watch Reyes. Look at that arm. I mean, he's got no position to make a strong throw. And look at that. He threw a bullet. That's as fine a turn as you're going to see.
And Ryan Domit, who's like a tank running down there, he with a great takeout slide, and Jose was able to elude him.
Well, what it makes you think about is if Tejada is able to hit enough to hold down a spot at second base next year, the idea of he and Reyes playing together as a double play combination all year, that could be something to see. They haven't gotten to play together all that much this year because, you know, Reyes has been in and out of the lineup and Tejada's been up and down to the minors.
You've got to be strong up the middle to win. It's the old adage, and that's catcher, center field, and your middle infielders. If you have a lineup that can carry Tejada and you can hit him 8th and let him find his way, it's just a matter of where do you find the lineup.
Dunks one into shallow center in front of McCutchen for a base hit. Great base running by Evans, who read it all the way, and he goes first to third. That's terrific by Evans. Tejada with another hit, and the Mets have runners at the corners.
So all you kids out there, that play, if you're the runner on first, that play's in front of you. And Nick knew it was going to drop from the get-go. Take it away, Gary.
Nick Evans, safe at third. Safe and secure. New York Life. Keith, you got the next one.
Oh. I botched it the last time.
Well, I hope you've been practicing. R.A. Dickey, who has been swinging the bat extremely well.
Let him swing.
10 hits this year, hitting .233. In fact, the Mets pitching staff right now has a 6-game hitting streak as a group, which is the longest in Mets history. 7 hits in 12 at-bats for the Met pitching staff over the last 6 games. Somebody's got to do it. 0-2 to Dickey.
Well, R.A. doesn't look pretty up there, but I tell you, he does a couple of things very well. He gets right on the plate, he chokes up on the bat, he has a very short stroke, and he tries to put the ball in play.
He's a cut and slasher.
Yeah.
And he stays level on the high pitch, so he's got a shot.
PPG Pittsburgh Paints overhead camera.
Pitchers are a little
Close
hesitant of getting that close to the plate.
It's close.
R.A. has driven in 5 runs this year. He has 4 2-hit games this season, the most by a Met pitcher since Mike Hampton in 2000. But he goes down swinging here, and Duke has his 3rd strikeout.
Well, that's where you got to pitch, R.A., and that's downstairs.
So you got a book on him, huh?
Oh, yeah, I watch him hit. He likes to hit belt high enough. He's dangerous. You keep it down. It's a bad swing on a low ball. That is not, that says it all.
Well, it's kind of interesting. He brings his hands down with the bat instead of dropping the head of the bat on the ball.
Here's Reyes with 1st and 3rd and 2 down. Jose singled to left and scored a run in the 1st inning. There was smoke hanging out in center field, and the wind is blowing in tonight. And I assume that smoke is coming from
blue smoke.
Blue smoke, barbecue.
That's not blue smoke.
It's more like white smoke. Do we have a new pope? 1-1 to Reyes. Well, there is a strong wind coming in from left field tonight. There was a sluggers softball competition tonight, and the right-hand hitters just had a devil of a time trying to get it out. The left-hand hitters had a huge advantage.
The right-handed hitters are all crying each other's shoulders, those big burly softball players.
Well, we've seen baseball players do that here too. 2-1 to Reyes. And Reyes lays off. Takes a little stroll, and it's 3-1. He can look so off balance at times.
No one has more body parts moving when they check their swing than Jose. Front leg, back leg.
It's because he initially steps in the bucket, and he kind of leaves himself kind of stooped over, and it's hard for him to maintain his balance. But he always keeps his hands back.
Now on 3-1, he takes low inside ball 4, and the bases are loaded. So Duke issues his first walk of the night. Run the bases Sunday at Citi Field following the Mets afternoon game against the Braves with the Mr. Met Dash for all kids 12 and under. For tickets, visit Mets.com or call 718-507-TIXX. So now a chance for Pagan, who's driven in the game's only run. Angel singled to center in the 1st inning for his 61st run batted in, chasing Reyes home. Batting here with the bases full. And he loops one into right center, and that'll fall for a base hit. Evans is in to score. Tejada scores. It's bobbled in right field by Dolman. So Reyes is racing home. He'll score the throw to 3rd, and now they've got Pagan and a run down. Cedeno tags him out, but 3-run score on the play, and the Mets have a 4-0 lead. Pagan driving in a pair. Probably the 3rd-run score is on the bobble by Dolman. 4-0 New York. All right, Dickey now has a 4-run lead as he takes the mound for the third. Chris Snyder takes the knuckleball for a strike on that last play in the bottom of the second. Double, 2 RBIs for Pagan. The third run scores on the error by Domit. The put out on Pagan went 9-6-5-6. So now your scorecard is up to date. Chris Snyder muscles one out to center field. And Pagan is there. One away. Let's check in with Kevin, who is outside the Verizon studios. Kevin?
It is our favorite live Verizon Ask the Booth, Gare. And, I scattered around. We found Jonathan from Queens. And it's kind of played like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. He called like 8 of his friends for a lifeline to determine what question to ask. So this better be a good question. Jonathan, you're up. Go.
Hope so. Hey, guys, what's up? I was just wondering, do you think that the Mets' first priority in the offseason should be a big-name bat or a big-name starting pitcher?
All right, guys, take it away.
Go ahead, Keith. I love pitching. I don't know if necessarily to be a starter, but I would rather get pitching. Take my chances with Bay coming back and having a year that he's capable of. Davis, another year, a year under his belt. Reyes is short. It also depends on what they're going to do.
Well, there's so many questions involved in before you can get to that question. One has to do with Santana. Johan had surgery this morning on his shoulder, and we don't know when he's going to return, so we don't know what the status of the Mets rotation is going to be. The other thing is, if you look at the players the Mets have under contract, you've got left field taken care of with Bay, center field with Beltran, right field with Pagan, first base with Davis, third base with Wright. If you're going to make a trade for a bat, what position, or if you're going to try and sign a bat, what position are you looking to fill?
Well, it's almost impossible. Maybe if you wanted to, and I know a lot of fans have appreciated Josh Tolley's play, but maybe is there one of those kind of catchers you can go out and get? I don't know if there is, but it would be nice to get until Pelf gets to a spot where he could be a #1 pitcher, if he's going to be a #1 pitcher. It'd be nice to have someone to replace Santana.
I mean, there are a number of questions involved there too. Mike Pelfrey and R.A. Dickey are both eligible for arbitration this year. They're going to get some rather large numbers off the seasons that they put up this year. Now, I'm assuming that the Mets are going to tender contracts to both those guys, but with that kind of increase in their payroll, is that going to leave any room for them to do anything else?
Well, in the vacuum where there are unlimited dollars out there, Cliff Lee is the guy that I have to go get. He saves your bullpen. He pitches complete games. He's the kind of guy that can win 20. He's great in the postseason. Does it all.
McCutchen draws a 2-out walk. There's some of the commitments the Mets have for next year. These are contracts that they're not going to be able to move. I mean, David Wright, they could trade if they were so desirous of doing so. But those other guys, Santana with coming off injury, Beltran with his knee, Bay off the concussion, Ali for obvious reasons, K-Rod with his legal troubles. You can't trade any of those guys. And if you do, you're going to have to eat most of the contracts along the way. The total commitments, and there's some more, the club option on Reyes, which you assume they're going to pick up, and Castillo is due $6 million. Igarashi has a 2-year deal. He's going to get $1.75 next year. Almost $120 million in commitments before you think about arbitration or trades or free agent signings or anything else.
No.
And that makes their situation really difficult heading into this offseason. Regardless of whether they make any changes in the front office, make changes in the manager's office, they've got some serious difficulties to try to work through in terms of putting together a team for next year beyond what they've already got. 1-1 to Tabata, who grounded out to second base his first time up.
So all you Met fans out there, don't let Gary get you all depressed.
Well, no, it's nice. It's nice to dream, and the fact of the matter is that
it's tough.
That you can certainly go out and make deals. And you talked about this last week, Keith. Everything's got to be on the table.
Yes.
And including trading some of your cornerstone players to try and free up salary, to try and get younger, to try and get different pieces. You have to look at what's out there, because the conventional ways of improving this team without sending the payroll skyrocketing are going to be very, very difficult.
Mets are going
at least this year.
Mets are going to have the biggest open mind of any team in recent history.
So you need a bold and daring genius willing to put it on the line and make some bold moves.
Are you available?
Oh, yeah. I'm bold. The genius, I don't know.
Fortune favors the bold.
That was Complicated answer we gave for our Ask the Booth man.
It was, but it's a complicated. It requires that.
The problem is that it's not an easy question to answer because it depends on so many other things. That ball rolls foul.
And it's a difficult task.
Yeah.
That was all pretty there with the graphics, and it's right there in black and white.
Kevin, in the future, instead of How to Be a Millionaire, I prefer the sidewalk shout out from the cash cab.
Cash cab. That's a great show.
It's a great show.
1-2 to Jose Tabata. And Dickey gets the comebacker, knocks it down, and makes the play on Tabata to end the inning. You see too many people hitting that hard knuckleball like that. 4-0 Mets in the middle of the third. At Mets.com, browse the largest selection of official gear, including the latest apparel, nostalgic memorabilia, and authentic classics for the whole family. Get your gear from the official source, the Mets.com shop, except no substitutes. Carlos Beltran yanks one foul to start the last of the third inning. Carlos reached on an error his first time up. It'll be Beltran, Wright, and Davis to bat for the Mets in the bottom of the third. Just to expand on our discussion from the last half inning, there are many ways that the Mets can think about next year in terms of options, but the best thing that can happen for them is for Jason Bay to come back next year and be Jason Bay, and for Carlos Beltran to come back next year and be Carlos Beltran.
Hit 30, drive in 100.
Both of them.
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
Beltran hits one deep to left field. Back goes Tabata, back near the wall, and it's out of here. That's a start. Carlos Beltran with his 4th home run of the year, and the Mets have a 5-0 lead.
Third home run from the right side, out in front. You see, they let go with one hand. Carlos has tremendous power from that right side, and you see a little out in front. Let's go with one hand. It's all about keeping those hands back. See, he's got good balance. He's out in front, but he's got good balance. He's not lunging.
For every home run hit at Citi Field this season, Stuart Rohr and Kinray's Home Runs for Charity program will donate $1,000 to the Make-A-Wish Foundation. Kinray has donated $41,000 so far in 2010.
Well, we've seen it all night long that Zach Duke sometimes has hit the glove And what that tells you about Zach is that he's got to be almost perfect when he doesn't have the kind of stuff that can blow you away.
22nd home run he's allowed this year. David Wright with the comebacker. And Duke throws him out, 1 away. By the way, David Wright having that at bat. We shorted David earlier. He had a little mistake. Well, we'll take responsibility because we used the note. Jose Reyes scored a run early, and we said that he tied Hojo for second place on the Mets all-time list. Actually, he tied Hojo for third. And with the second run that Reyes scored today, he went ahead of Hojo and tied David Wright for second. David and Jose have scored the exact same number of runs, 628, trailing only Darryl Strawberry on the all-time list. There is the list. So it's going to be a battle to see who gets to Straw's record first as far as runs scored between Reyes and Wright. That was a beautiful graphic, wasn't it?
Very
With the
nice.
pictures and everything. Got Edgardo Alfonso in there.
And all of us appreciate the pictures from the 80s. They look a lot better.
2-0 to Ike Davis, who struck out his first time up. And Duke finds the outside corner, 2-1. That's with 5 runs and 6 hits tonight. The Pirates, no runs and 1 hit. Nick Evans on deck.
I'm surprised if you were watching the last few games and your team had a scout watching Ike, you would think that your pitchers would respond in kind with pitches inside now, because he's been going after that ball outside and trying to use left field and driving the ball. But we have not seen that.
Well, Duke's had him out in front with that curveball.
And check swing, he went around, and Ike is struck out for the second time. 4th strikeout for Duke, 2 out of the inning.
It's going to be an interesting end of the season with these last 18, 19 games for Ike Davis, because on the good side, he has a really good shot at catching Strawberry for the most RBIs by a rookie player. On the bad side, he has a chance to have the strikeout record also.
In fact, he's right on the verge. He now has 126 strikeouts. Strawberry's rookie strikeout record is 128. So it's a pretty fair bet he's going to pass by that before he gets the RBI mark. Evans singled and scored his first time up. And Nick hits one deep to center field. Back goes McCutchen near the wall, and it's out of here. Nick Evans with his first home run of the season. And it's 6-0 New York. Well, Nick Evans getting a chance to play today against the left-hander. And he's come through with a 2-for-2 night, including a booming home run.
Well, Zach Duke's got to know he can't just throw a fastball down the pipe. And this is just good hitting by Evans, jumping on first pitch fastball.
Trying to come inside, didn't get it there.
Well, he got that one.
You could tell by the swing that it was full extension.
Nick Evans, safe at home, safe and secure. New York life.
So I get it. It's every base.
Blanco lifts one to right, and Doman puts it away to end the inning. But the Mets hit a couple of home runs in the third. Carlos Beltran and Nick Evans both going deep. Nick with his first of the year after hitting 23 in the minors. And the Mets have stretched their lead to 6-0. Warren Kinray's Home Runs for Charity program will donate $1,000 to the Make-A-Wish Foundation. Kinray has now donated $42,000 so far in 2010. It's hitting 2 home runs in that 3rd inning. The first time they've done that since June the 13th in Baltimore. Neil Walker grounds one down to David Wright, and there's one away. It's the 6th time this season the Mets have hit 2 home runs in an inning. Let's check in with Kevin.
Guys, I had a conversation with former Met Lastings Millage today about, where he's at and where he wants to be going forward. And obviously this is a guy that made a lot of mistakes. He knows that. He admits that, and think about the pressure of dealing with the #1 pick and trying to fulfill that pressure in New York. And, he talked about that. And I said, where do you want to be 5 years from now? I mean, Millage seems like he's been around forever, but he's still only 25 years old. I said, you know what? I want to be remembered as a guy who's changed. I want to be remembered as a guy who went through hard times and learned from hard times and did a total 360 and learned how to become a professional. And, I don't know that those words would have come out of his mouth a couple of years ago. It was an interesting conversation. I thought he was pretty frank about it. Not once did he mention anything about batting average or home runs or anything. I think at this point, he's starting to feel, a little mortal, trying to grow up as well. So Lastings Millage, kind of getting back down to earth with those comments today, I thought. Guys, what do you think?
Well, you wish every player well, and you hope that Lastings finds a place. This is his, 4th team? Third team. But he finds a place where he can fit and he can show what he can do. You wish all players to do that. But the first comes from inside, and acting like a professional is one of the key things. Coming to the park on time, working extra hard, all those things are going to be things that Millage is going to have to use in the future.
Garrett Jones finds the hole on the left side. He's got himself a 1-out hit. Just the 2nd hit for the Pirates and the first one that's reached the outfield.
Well, it's either that or hit 300, drive in 200, score 100.
Well, Lastings came to the major leagues very quickly, and he came with a lot of ability. And he came with a track record behind him of some misbehavior on and off the field. And it was tolerated to a certain extent while he was in the minor leagues. And I think he was done a disservice by that when he was arguing with teammates, arguing with umpires, having troubles in terms of antagonizing the opposition. And those things were swept under the rug, and he was not disciplined. And I think those things hurt him because he got to the big leagues with a sense of entitlement that you'd like for rookies not to arrive with.
Well, you know who enjoys discipline in the minor leagues? The other people on the team. Because what happens is that if there isn't discipline, then someone's always being treated special, and it just drives most players crazy.
Another beautiful play by Tejada, and Reyes with a turn. Another spectacular double play. The 2nd of the night for that pair. Tejada doing the starting and Reyes doing the turning. 4-6-3, and you can't do it any better than that. 6-0 New York as the Mets come to bat in the bottom of the fourth.
Well, another spectacular play. Tougher play for Tejada. Had to go really get it. But watch Reyes with that complete 360. What a turn.
And Tejada had a base hit his first time up. Takes the breaking ball for a strike from Duke, 1-1.
What you notice about that is a hit with 90% of the second basemen in this league. No one makes that play. The range he showed, he had to go 5, 6, 7 steps before he made that play.
He's got good hands, too. Soft hands. That's a backhand. It's not an easy play.
Can't teach that, can you, Keith?
Nope.
He's got shortstop's range and a shortstop's arm, playing second base alongside Reyes, who has spectacular range and arm. Toward the middle of the diamond, Cedeno with a sliding stop from his knees, but throws wide, and Tejada is 2 for 2. Nice effort by Cedeno, just couldn't complete it.
Well, here's the difference here. He's got great range, but he doesn't have Reyes' arm. Well, especially when you're throwing from your knees. Nice try by Ronnie, though.
So a leadoff hit for Tejada. 3 for 3 in this series now. And here's Dickey up there to bunt with a 6-0 lead. Struck out his first time up. And Duke will have to go to first with it. Executed nicely by Dickey for his 7th sacrifice of the season. Here's your Suzuki around the majors. Yankees with a 4-0 lead against Matt Garza. Robinson Cano with his 27th home run. Adam Dunn his 35th, and Levon Hernandez has now added the home run. It's 4-0 Nats leading the Braves in the 4th inning. And Cole Hamels has given up a run after a 25-inning scoreless streak. Phillies tied 1-1 with the Marlins. That game is in the 3rd after a rain delay in Florida.
Who pitched for Atlanta tonight? Started that game.
Jurgens.
Oh, gee.
And he has struggled.
Yep. He's been a little short.
Here's Reyes, who singled and walked. He scored 2 runs. And he lines one into center field for a base hit. Tejada around third. He'll score with ease. Reyes drives in a run, and it's 7-0 New York. And the Mets just keep pouring it on against Zach Duke, a guy who generally has been very tough against them.
Good fastball again, getting hurt by the fastball. And guess what, Garrett? Mr. Tejada is. I haven't got the copy.
Safe at home. Safe and secure.
New York life.
That's going to be all for Zach Duke. He'll exit after 3 1/3 after lasting just an inning plus in his previous start. Tejada with a good night at the plate, a spectacular night in the field, forcing the Pirates to go to the bullpen. Brought to you by Lincoln Mercury.
Cuomo.
Pride of South Orange, New Jersey, Joe Martinez comes on to pitch for the Pirates.
Yeah, he came over in September with John Bowker from the Giants for Javi Lopez, the left-handed reliever.
Angel Pagan has already had a good night. 3 runs batted in, a single in the first, a double in the second. So he's 2 for 2. Mets have scored in each of the first 4 innings. Last time the Mets did that, it was July the 4th in Washington. The Mets are doing some things offensively they haven't done in a while.
Evans and Tejada inserted in the lineup. They have 4 hits between them and scored 4 runs.
Pulled past the first baseman Jones and into right field, a base hit. Reyes will go first to third. Pagan is 3 for 3. The ball gets loose, backed up by Alvarez, and that keeps Reyes from scoring. So Pagan, who had been struggling, 3 for 27 coming in, 3 for 3 tonight.
Well, just a hanging slider, and when you throw a slider, it's going to be pulled, and that makes you vulnerable in that hole. Jones couldn't make the play, and even stopping, Reyes has enough speed to go first to third.
So now Beltran, who slugged a home run batting right-handed his last time up in the third, turns around to bat left. The home run was Carlos's 4th of the year, and he foul tips 1-0 in 1.
Oh, here's the home run back in the third. Another ball down the middle.
And that's ripped down the right field line. A fair ball going into the corner. Reyes scores. Pagan racing for third. He's being waved around. The throw goes to second. It's a 2-run double for Carlos Beltran. 9-0 New York.
Uncle.
So Beltran with a 3 RBI night.
Haven't seen one of these in a while, have we, Gare? Except in Chicago.
The 18-5 game.
Well, I'll take it, Gare.
Angel Pagan, safe at home.
Safe and secure. New York life. It's a way of life.
It is tonight. David Wright takes a breaking ball for a strike. So the Mets have pounded out 9 runs on 11 hits. Reyes scores his 3rd run of the night, and that pushes him past David Wright, and now he is in second place by himself on the Mets runs scored list. David, who has not yet joined this party, pops up for the 2nd out of the inning. He's now 0 for 3. Daniel McCutcheon gets up in the Pittsburgh bullpen. Zach Duke, a fruitless night. 3 1/3 innings, 8 runs, 7 of them earned on 9 hits, a walk, 4 strikeouts, a wild pitch, and 2 home runs allowed.
That ERA was 5 and change. It's going up.
Duke's ERA at the end of the night, 5.78. And in line for his 14th loss of the season. He's lost 13 or more each of the last 3 years. The only pitcher in the majors who has. One-on-one to Ike Davis, who struck out both at bats against Duke. Now facing the right-hander Martinez. Martinez made his major league debut with the Giants last year, and 2 days later he was struck in the head by a line drive off the bat of Mike Cameron, and a very scary moment. He was taken for a CAT scan. He had a problem with his eye that had to be resolved, but was able to make a complete recovery and come back. 2-2. It's every pitcher's worst nightmare. 2-2 to Davis, and he misses inside with the fastball. 3-2. Joe went to Seton Hall Prep, then on to Boston College. Not too many BC grads wind up in the big leagues.
No.
And he misses off speed for ball 4, and Davis is bored. So Martinez has come on, faced 4 batters, given up 2 hits and a walk.
Davis' 62nd walk of the season.
Here's Nick Evans. Not too many home runs hit to that spot in this ballpark. And Nick did that for his first home run of the season, his last time up.
It looked like a submarine breaching there. I didn't realize the apple comes up so quickly. I really didn't. Goodness gracious, that was quite a shot.
So Nick getting a chance to play tonight after last night's heroics, and he's gone 2 for 2. He'd love to get that periscope to rise again.
Boy.
Slow ground ball. Alvarez will let it go foul. 1-2. Evans running it out. Good night at the plate for Beltran with a home run, a double, and 3 RBIs. Big night for Evans with a single and a home run. Reyes 2 for 2, a walk, 3 runs scored. Pagan 3 for 3, 3 RBIs. One of those nights where a lot of people get healthy after a 1-0 win last night. Mets have scored just 1 run in their last 2 games combined, but have exploded here tonight. And Evans just gets a piece to stay in there. Over the last 50 years, Dave Fried, our statistician, tells me, there have been only 3 players make to the major leagues from Boston College, and I've never heard of the other 2. Ryan Looney, Chris Lambert. You heard of either one of them?
I have not. BC will send a lot of players to the NFL.
And a few to the NBA.
And the NHL.
Right. So right now Martinez stands alone. Gets Evans with a slider to end the inning. But the Mets post a 3 spot in the 4th to break this game open. 9-0 New York after 4. As we go to the fifth inning, it's going to be like you're right on the edge of a pot of gold if you're a pitcher.
That's
3 outs to get with a 9-run lead to qualify for a win.
I used to always, if I had a big lead like this, Gary, I always felt the responsibility to finish the game. Let the relievers have their night off. Let the hitters keep hitting the way they are and finish it up.
Ryan Doumit bounces it foul, 1-1.
The one thing that changes, though, for a knuckleball pitcher like Dickey is that if I were pitching in this game, I might be reluctant to throw as many breaking balls, try to get them out with more fastballs. But he is always going to keep throwing his knuckleball. He might be more apt, though, on a 2-1 count to throw a fastball.
Right, who usually throw it 2-0, 3-1, but you're saying 2-1. He might throw it as well. And Doumit takes a knuckleball for a strike. Although in his last start against Washington, I don't think he threw a fastball the whole game. Maybe one.
One to Zimmerman. That was it.
And Doumit down swinging on the knuckler. That's the first strikeout of the night for R.A. Dickey, who's averaged about 5.5 per 9 innings.
This one about 3.5 turns, stayed up in the strike zone, just waffled enough to elude the bat of Doumit.
So 1 away. Here's Ronnie Cedeno, who bounced into one of the 2 spectacular double plays that Tejada and Reyes have turned tonight. And he takes a fastball for a strike. Second time in a row that Dickey's thrown a first pitch fastball to Cedeno. And the knuckleball away, 0-2. R.A. looking for his 11th win of the year. Began the day 9th in the National League in ERA. In an otherwise disappointing year for this franchise, what a great find he's been. Cedeno down on 3 pitches. Back-to-back strikeouts for Dickey.
You know, we talk about his knuckleball so much. I don't think we give him enough credit for his brain. He is mentally locked in this year. And I think that when he gets in these stretches, he just has a vision of what he wants to do. And it's almost like he's all alone out there. This is the closest you'll ever come to pitching chess or pitching solitaire with R.A. Dickey.
Zen pitching.
Well, what I like about Dickey is that he's a blue-collar guy.
Yeah.
He's a team guy. All of his interviews, it's about team first. And he's been miffed a little bit at some of the things that have happened here. Things have gone south. Again, for a guy that hasn't been here all year, I find that very refreshing.
Well, remember, he played last season before he didn't make the playoff roster with the Minnesota Twins. So they tend to do things very well over there.
There's a great honesty and a great earnestness to R.A. Dickey. Great believability. 1-2 to Chris Snyder.
Well, he's lived the life few have lived in Major League Baseball. #1 pick, found out that he had something wrong with his arm, had to change his whole way of pitching, and all that hard work has paid off this season.
Snyder fly to center his first time up.
You hear a lot of guys say, I want to do whatever I can to help the team win. You always believe it when R.A. Dickey says it, don't you?
And the slow knuckler gets him for strike 3. 57 miles an hour. And with that, Dickey strikes out the side in the 5th inning. Just got there.
and see who maybe are the guys that we could be seeing not only in spring training but in the near future, and maybe even not in the not so near future, to take a look at this organization a little bit more and some of the names to get you familiar with. And I thought today we talked a little bit about the outfield, and I think when you do that, you have to start about the guys that are already here and the guys that project to be the starters in this outfield next year. You see it'll be Bay in left, it'll be Beltran in center, it'll be Andrew Pagan in right, and you see their ages and their numbers and everything else. And obviously that could change with the offseason, but that seems to be pretty set right now. Now, again, anything can change in the offseason, but you know, when I asked around and got a feel for this Mets system, they're pretty deep in the outfield. Now, they have a lot of really good players in the lower levels, which I think we'll get to tomorrow for the sake of time. But a couple of guys that I think we could see in spring training and maybe even help out next year, this team, are a couple of guys that were drafted in the 08 draft. Both left-handers. It's Sean Ratliff and Kurt Neuenhuis. Neuenhuis was drafted in the 3rd round in 08, and Ratliff followed him in the 4th round. And both guys are similar in some ways, and they both are center fielders that probably aren't best suited playing center field, but they both have put up some big-time numbers in their career, especially this year. I think Neuenhuis is a guy that puts up numbers across the board. Ratliff, one scout told me, is kind of a Russell Branyan type of guy. He's got tremendous power, tremendous upside, strikes out an awful lot, but they love the upside and the power they see from him as Henry Blanco grounds out here. So I talked to Tim Tuffle about Kurt Neuenhuis. He's put up numbers really across the board in his short Mets career, whether it's been in Brooklyn or Binghamton. He did struggle a little bit when he went up to Buffalo. In the short time he was there, that was the one concern. But Tuffle told me some interesting things about him. He said he's got a very accurate arm. He needs to get better jumps in center field, though he's still learning that, but I think he can play anywhere in the outfield. He can play center field in major leagues. He can play right field. He's got the arm to do it. I think he'd be an outstanding left fielder. But Tuffle thought that Neuenhuis would indeed be a major leaguer at some point. And I asked him to give me one discernible reason. Give me something that he really liked, something that really impressed him. Now, Tuffle not only had him in AA this year as Tejada bats here, he also had him in Single A St. Lucie last year. He said, I'll give you the example. He makes adjustments, and he's smart. In Single A last year, all year at the beginning of the year, they were busting inside with a fastball, flat out couldn't hit it. Well, he made the adjustment, worked hard on it, made the adjustment, and by middle of the season, he was killing that pitch and just killed it for the rest of the way. So the same thing happened in AA this year, is that the curveball down and in, the pitch was getting him costly. He was striking out. He had an awful hard time recognizing it. But again, he worked hard at it, made the adjustment, and by the middle of the season, he was killing that pitch. So, guys, for 2 straight years, Tim Tuffle saw Neuenhuis deal with something that was really bothering him and make the adjustment and then start really making it a positive for his game. That's got to speak pretty well for his baseball instincts, right?
Well, I think the thing I like about Neuenhuis when I saw him in spring training is that we're talking about a kid that was a great football player. He was an All-American at Azusa Pacific University. And a guy who's just a great athlete. And, you know, if you can teach him how to hit Major League pitching, he's going to be a huge success here. And he's just one of those guys that every place he's gone, he's always the best. He's the All-American in college. He went to the Alaskan Baseball League. He was the MVP there. Every place he goes, he's a star. And I don't see why that wouldn't continue.
Yeah, I think he's got great athletic ability from everything that we've heard. As Tejada drives one to deep left field, turning around Tamada. That ball is off the top of the wall. Tejada racing for second, and he's in sliding with his 3rd hit of the night. Barely missed a home run, but he's got himself a 2-base hit. What a night for Tejada.
The fastball inside corner. He likes that ball middle in. And upstairs. Get around 4 feet from it being a home run.
Well, Gil Hodges' retired number.
Look at cheering for Tejada.
That has 1 major league home run. Almost at his 2nd. And R.A. Dickey will bat. The question, and I've talked to several scouts about Neuenhuis, is whether, and Kevin brought it up, whether he can play center field in the major leagues. He's a good athlete, but he's not as fast as your garden variety center fielder, and there's some question as to whether he can be that, because, and it's important because a guy who can play center field with the athletic ability, with the hitting numbers that Neuenhuis can put up, is a more valuable player than a guy who plays a corner. Cedeno charging, can't make a play, and Dickey's got an infield hit. And the Mets have runners at 1st and
3rd. 7-game hit streak for the Mets pitchers now. Another hit by Dickey. This one just eluding McCutchen. And by the time Cedeno comes, he wouldn't have had to play any ways at first base. I think the thing about Nieuwenhuis when I've seen him is that he doesn't have the smoothness of Beltran. He has great speed, but not the smoothness of Beltran in center field. That makes it difficult to play that position. But the upside is that he's a great athlete, and great athletes somehow figure out how to get it done. He's also 6'3", 210. Ratliff's 6'3", 225. We see Duda here in left field. He's 6'4", 240.
Reyes to center field. Tejada tagging at third. Andrew McCutcheon getting under it, not too deep. Tejada's going to try it. No, he's going to go back.
Really?
And a nice one-hop throw by McCutcheon. Reyes retired for the first time tonight.
You know, guys, and I think when you talk about Sean Ratliff, the other guy I brought in, when you talk about the two guys who are most major league ready to be an outfielder in this Mets system, he's a guy out of Stanford. He was also a football player. He's a big guy, big athlete. The difference is he's got more power. He's got that big left-handed, somewhat of an uppercut swing, but he played center field all throughout the minor leagues until this year when he played next to Kirk Nieuwenhuis. So, I think in a lot of aspects, those guys are very similar. Nieuwenhuis is going to steal more bases. Probably going to hit for a better average, but defensively, I think they have a lot of these similar qualities. Their friends basically have come up together in that same draft that had Ike Davison.
And there's another piece as Pagan pulls it to right field. And Doman will make the grab. We'll talk more about the prospect outfielders when we come back. Pagan retired for the first time tonight. 5 in the books now at Citi Field with the Mets up 9-0. Pagan has 3 hits. Ruben Tejada has 3 hits. Carlos Beltran has 3 RBIs. Jose Reyes has 3 runs scored. It's a game of threes,
Yahtzee, Gary.
And all those threes add up to 9 for the Mets tonight. Alex Presley will pinch hit against R.A. Dickey as we start the 6th inning. Presley came in as a pinch runner last night and was thrown out trying to steal in the 9th inning. Spent his year in Altoona this year, playing in Double-A ball. It'll be Presley, then Andrew McCutcheon and Jose Tabata. 3 outfielders batting for the Pirates in the 6th inning. And we were talking about the Mets prospect outfielders. Sean Ratliff, the guy that Kevin was just talking about, terrific power. And the other piece is he was a pitcher at Stanford. Left-hand pitcher who could throw 92, and you'll love to have that kind of an arm in right field. Kevin, what do they tell you about Ratliff's arm?
first one.
Presley down swinging. That's 4 straight strikeouts now for Dickey.
Oh, just that, Gary, that it's a good one. You know, and both these guys, when they were in Brooklyn, they both played both positions. They both played center. They both played right. And I think for the very reason of, you guys were talking about it, that, Nieuwenhuis has all the tools, but he's not a Shane Victorino out there. He's not, a guy that's going to blaze to the ball. But they try to make these guys as an option to play center field. So I think that's what they try to do. And then, both in right field. Ratliff's got the better of the arm for right field. I think certainly Nieuwenhuis can play it. But, I mean, if you're talking about putting a team together, you're probably talking about Nieuwenhuis in left and Ratliff in right.
The one thing when you evaluate also your players, the managers of those teams, and Tim Tuffle is the manager of the Binghamton team, they play a big part because they see them every day, and after the games are done, they always have a report that now they do it on the computer. It used to be a written report. They do it on the computer, and they email it back to the home club, and it says exactly what happened in the game with every player that was in the game. So the relief pitcher who came in to get a third of an out, to Nieuwenhuis in center field, he went 3 for 3, but one was a bunt. They've been those are the kind of things that the home club wants to hear, and they're very, very detailed from the manager back to the club.
2-1 to Andrew McCutcheon, and he pops up the knuckleball. Davis calling for it. And that's the second out. Let's check in with Chris Carlin, who has a New York State Smokers Quit Line game break. That was about as long as the one he hit to the Shea Bridge. He was a big man. Here's Jose Tabata with 2 out. Swings and misses.
Guys, the only other guy we're missing in this mix is a guy that I talked to before the game today, Lucas Duda. He is the organizational player of the year. Just outstanding numbers this year in the minor leagues and in AAA. Obviously, it hasn't worked out for him so far.
Tejada throws out Tabata for a 1-2-3 inning, and I think we'd be unfair if we didn't mention Nick Evans in that conversation as well. Middle of the 6th inning, the Mets with a 9-0 lead. Tonight's Jets-Ravens game, and bring you a one-of-a-kind preview of this Sunday's matchup against New England with exclusive interviews and insider info on the next Loudmouths, presented by Geico, part of the New York Sports Local, tomorrow at 6, only on SNY. Host of changes for the Pirates. Andy LaRoche comes in to play second base. Argenis Diaz is now at shortstop. Alex Presley, who pinch hit, stayed in the game in center field. Brandon Moss is now in right field. And the right-hander Steven Jackson will pitch in the bottom of the 6th.
Jackson came up from AAA where he had 41 appearances, but has struggled so far up here in the major leagues. You can see that batting average against his hitters are 15 for 38 off Steven.
Will face Carlos Beltran, David Wright, and Ike Davis in the bottom of the 6th inning. The Mets with a 9-0 lead. They scored in each of the first 4 innings. Beltran's had a huge hand in it. A solo home run in the 3rd, a 2-run double in the 4th. And Carlos takes high for ball 1. We were talking about Mets outfield prospects, and you were talking, Ronnie, about how the minor league managers call in reports every day, not just about the results of the game, but the things that they see that can be pertinent to the development of a player. As LaRoche throws out Beltran for the first out. And I think that brings up something that's very important. You know, we talk all the time about scouting and development as though they're two different things. You know, you scout players who are amateurs and you draft them and you develop them. But then you have to keep scouting yourself. You're not just scouting other teams. You have to figure out what you've got. And it's very difficult because you have all these farm systems that are in far-flung points, and you have to use different sets of eyes. And you have to be honest with yourself about what you've got and not fall in love with the talent in your farm system and risk overrating what you've got. You've got to be honest with yourself about what you've got as you make plans going forward.
That's why I think one of the most important people in the minor leagues is the roving scout, the guy who hasn't been with the players all season long, gets to sit in the manager's office, talks to him about players he's going to take a look at, and then puts a new fresh pair of eyeballs on this player. And sometimes that report will differ from that of the coach.
And a lot of times you've got to watch out organizationally that there is a corporate pecking order and ladder climbing where you maybe boast too much of your talent to make the people down there look good with the talent they're bringing up, and sometimes it doesn't live up to that. I've seen that happen over the years. So you really, it's got to be watched on from the top, and it's when you got to have your guy that runs the farm system has got to be on the ball. Your general manager's got to be on the ball. It's all about judging talent.
Well, there's another piece to what you were talking about, too, and that is that, you know, you draft a player in the first round, you give him a big bonus, you're going to give him every opportunity to succeed, and maybe you'll give him a chance over a guy that you drafted in the 26th round that you don't have as much invested in. Well, if that 26th round pick starts to play better, sometimes organizations are reluctant to give them a chance because they've got so much invested in that #1 pick.
Well, in that case, then you have to give kudos to the Mets and Dylan G being here in the big leagues. Here's a guy that was drafted later, a guy that's had some injuries. He's moved past some of the other big-name pitchers that were drafted #1.
David Wright has his first hit of the night. Tabata goes over and cuts it off. David heading for second. Tabata's throw, close play, and David's out at second base. I think David assumed he was going to get a double out of that and broke it down a little bit. And then when he turned it on at the last moment, Tabata threw him out.
Well, he really did not turn it on from the get-go, and this is the difference here. Nice swing on it by David on that hanger.
Give some credit to Tabata for hustling out there in left field, getting to that ball.
Oh, he slid into the foot. But watch David here. He's not really out of the box here. That's 3/4. Now he's trying to turn it on. And watch him slide into the foot.
Wow. Andy LaRoche wasn't even trying to block him, I don't think.
I think he just got his, Andy LaRoche has played a lot of third base. His footwork at first base, at second base, is not going to be as sharp.
Boy, that's how you get spiked, boy, big time on your ankle.
Spiked. How about a broken ankle?
Yep.
Ike Davis drives one to center, and Presley moving in to grab it. That's the third out of the inning. So Steven Jackson comes in, throws up a 0 at the bottom of the 6th. 9-0 Mets as we head to the 7th. Seventh inning, Andy LaRoche leads off against R.A. Dickey, who has allowed just 2 hits over the first 6. LaRoche batting for the first time. Came up as a pinch hitter in the game last night and struck out in the 9th inning against Takahashi. Mets have out hit the Pirates tonight 14-2. And LaRoche takes a fastball for a strike, and it's 1-1. Garrett Jones on deck, and then Pedro Alvarez for the Pirates in the 7th. And the knuckleball lifted to right. James Pagan waiting for it. 1 away. New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by Rums of Puerto Rico, the rum capital of the world. By Bob's Discount Furniture, now open in Manhattan off the FDR Drive at 117th Street. Go to mybobs.com for details. And by BJ's Wholesale Club, join John Franco this Saturday at the Flushing BJ's, located at 131-07 40th Road, from noon to 1 p.m. for a meet and greet and a chance to win Mets tickets courtesy of BJ's, Tide, and Downey. Chris LaRue just picked up by the Pirates on waivers from the Marlins. He is up in the Pittsburgh bullpen, just arrived today. Garrett Jones swings hard at the soft knuckleball, and it's 1-1.
So far, this young Pirate team has been like putty in Dickey's hands, hasn't it? They're very aggressive. They don't face a lot of knuckleballers.
They didn't do a heck of a lot last night with Dylan G and the other crew.
You know, we've been talking a lot about the future tonight. What about the future as it revolves around R.A. Dickey? Here's a 35-year-old pitcher getting in the air to center field, and Beltran chasing back. Has room and runs it down for the second out. Here's a 35-year-old pitcher enjoying success for the first time in his major league career. Do you look at it as an aberration? Do you look at it as a pitcher who has found himself and his pitch and will be able to do this for a long period of time? And if you're the Mets, how do you approach Dickey, who is arbitration eligible, come this offseason?
I think you've got to keep him. I mean, the fact that the age factor is not so much a concern because he's a knuckleballer here, and you had Joe Niekro, Phil Niekro pitch late in their years. Niekro, Phil, of course, in his 40s. You can conserve your energy as a knuckleballer, and he throws strikes, Ronnie.
Yeah, I think he's got what you would call, because of his late move to the knuckleball, he's got a young arm. But he does have a 35-year-old's body, and at some point he does throw that hard knuckleball. Is that a factor in your decision to maybe give him a 1 or 2 year deal? Certainly have to keep him with all the question marks you have in your starting rotation. He's got to be there.
I don't think keeping him is the question. The question is you try to lock him up for more than 1 year.
Well, I think I think one, he's got to have some appreciation for giving the chance here for the Mets, and I think the Mets, if they were to offer him a 2 year deal, I think you'd be able to keep him here in the city.
I think a 1 year deal is just fine. Show me you can do it again.
Okay.
Well, the problem with that is that Dickey is
arbitration.
Well, I was going to say he'll be eligible for free agency after 1 year, but that's not true. He will. If he pitches next year, he'll be eligible for free agency after that. So would it behoove the Mets, if they really think that he's the real deal, to lock him up for 2-3 years to try and keep him out of free agency after next season? That's an interesting question, given all the circumstances, including his age. That's high ball 4, and a walk to Pedro Alvarez.
Particularly because you've lost Santana. You don't know what's going to be happening with Santana.
There's your Toyota text poll. It's amazing how quickly they come up with these ideas. Should the Mets offer R.A. Dickey a multi-year contract? A for yes, B for no. Text 57508 or visit sny.tv.
They don't come up with it. We came up with it.
Well, that's what I'm saying, but he typed it up fairly fast. I can't type that fast.
Well, at least they know they're listening to the broadcast. Sometimes I wonder about the truck if they're listening to us.
Brandon Moss up for the first time. Fouls off the first pitch he sees.
Guys, when you talk about evaluation of Dickey, how does the evaluation of some of the other signings come into play? The long-term deal to Oliver Perez and to Louis Castillo, things like that. Does that affect their thinking on every player?
That's an outstanding question, Kevin. I think that you have to, obviously we don't know whether the Mets are going to make changes in the front office, but whoever is there, you can't be gun shy. You've got to trust your ability to evaluate, don't you? That's a foul ball.
Absolutely. You have to trust your instincts. And listen, every team in baseball has made the same mistakes with long-term contracts with certain players. So you can't be gun shy when you trust your instincts and you feel that you do need a guy like Dickey. And with the rotation problems that the Mets had, this is such a great story. You have Perez, who struggled. You have Maine, who goes down. You have R.A. Dickey come up, and Takahashi filled that role for a while, and they were unbelievable. Takahashi has 10 wins now, a combination of starting in the bullpen and 10 wins for Dickey. Where would you be without those two?
And then throw in the rookie Neese, who's had an establishing year this year. Well, there are the instant results of the Toyota Tex Bowl. Not much of a contest.
57,000 people called in?
Just in 2 minutes. David Wright with the sidearm toss gets Brandon Moss to end the inning. R.A. Dickey 7 scoreless. Pirates still haven't scored yet in this series. 9-0 Mets. $7:10 p.m. Tickets start at $11. Get your seats direct from the Mets at Mets.com. Henry Mejia tries again for his first big league win tomorrow night. There's your Mets' upcoming schedule. Remember, all Mets games on SNY are available in HD, presented by IOTV. Thursday night, it'll be Mike Pelfrey going for his 15th win. Then the Braves come in over the weekend before the Mets go to Florida and Philadelphia for their final road trip of the season. Mets today just unveiled their preliminary schedule for next year, which has them opening in Florida. Chris LaRue makes his Pirates debut tonight.
Just claimed off waivers from the Florida Marlins. Last time he had a 7 ERA in 17 appearances for the Florida Marlins.
Nick Evans leads off. First pitch swinging. Grounds one out to Andy LaRoche. One pitch by LaRue, and he has the first out in the bottom of the 7th. That brings us to tonight's AT&T trivia question. The only Met to draw 100 walks in a season.
Really?
Easy.
Yeah, this recently happened.
One out and nobody on. Here's Henry Blanco. Henry's 0 for 3. Struck out, flied out, grounded out. And he takes upstairs for ball 1. Blanco 0 for his last 13. And Henry pops one a mile high. Shortstop Cedeno calling. And as the wind grabs it, he stays with it. 2 out. But he's been blowing it hard from left field all night. That was Argenis Diaz playing shortstop for the Pirates.
It's got a little spring feel to this game.
I was going to say, are we in Bradenton or Port St. Lucie?
You know you're in Bradenton when that ball's hit off the wall. You're having a hard day because remember they have that plastic fence. So if you're having a hard day pitching, all you'd hear is the doink off that plastic fence all game. We're also the world's worst infield in spring training.
So now Ruben Tejada, who's established a career high with a 3-hit game, looped a single to center, had an infield hit, and then barely missed a home run, doubling high off the left field fence in the 5th. And he lines one to left field. This one will stay up, though, and Tabata grabs it. And Tejada retired for the first time tonight. But what night he's had at the bat and in the field. What a night for the Mets. 9-0 after 7. Catch the Huskies as they hit the road and head to Philly to take on the Temple Owls at the Link. UConn at Temple. Coverage begins with City pregame Saturday, 11:30 a.m. on SNY.
UConn should get their first victory there.
They already won one.
Beat Texas Southern.
Oh, that's right. They played. That's right.
Angel Pagan in center. Jesus Feliciano in right as we go to the 8th inning.
That's right. They went on the board last week.
Oh, is that all that matters? Argenis Diaz up for the first time for the Pirates, facing R.A. Dickey, who's been brilliant tonight. Check swing, and he went around 1-1. The Phillies have just gone in front of the Marlins. A Jason Worth ground out in the 5th inning, 2-1 Philadelphia. Little dribbler, who's going to play it? Dickey's going to have to, but no chance to get Diaz, who has an infield hit. Just the 3rd hit off Dickey, and the 2nd one in just that fashion. Let's check in with the studio. Chris Carlin has a New York State Smokers Quit Line game break. Well, there is the playoff picture with the Phillies now in front. The Braves trailing 5-0 now to the Nats and Levon Hernandez. So Philly might be able to stretch their lead tonight. 1 game up in the National League East. Padres a half game in front of the Giants. 2.5 over the Rockies starting play tonight. The Giants are beginning a series tonight at home against the Dodgers with Barry Zito, who has really been struggling pitching against Clayton Kershaw. 1-1 to Chris Snyder, who's 0 for 2 tonight.
He hasn't won since the middle of July, I believe. Barry Zito
lost his last 7 or 8 decisions. 2-1 to Snyder. Alex Presley, the center fielder, is hitting 9th in the order. He's on deck. The pitcher's spot is behind him in the 1 spot. '99th pitch of the night from Dickey is a knuckleball hit deep down the left field line, but hooking, foul. Snyder, who has 14 home runs this year, making a bid. John Gallagher is up in the Pirates bullpen. Keith noted last night that the Pirates have 10 right-handers in their bullpen.
We're seeing them. We thought for a while that we were going to see all of them last night, with both teams struggling to score.
Tonight, only one team has struggled to score. See Ralph Kiner in his television heyday once again as SNY.TV gives Kiner's Corner a new life online. This week, Ralph looks back at his 1988 interview with Tommy Lasorda and Davey Johnson. Here are his thoughts on pitching and the Mets' heartbreaking 1988 season. Kiner's Corner revisited exclusively on SNY.TV, your online home of all things New York sports. Mets turn their 3rd double play of the night, this time the more routine variety. Reyes and Tejada connecting for the 6-4-3.
Well, with Snyder running, that is automatic. Jose keeping his body in front nicely. I don't see much wrong in the way that Tejada makes that turn to second base very quick.
Now Presley up for the 2nd time, struck out in the 6th inning as a pinch hitter, stayed in the game in center field.
Boy, he's got a baby face, doesn't he? Jeez.
Alex Presley out of the University of Mississippi. Mississippi? Presley? 1-1.
Tupelo.
Actually, Alex was born in Louisiana. Probably not related to Elvis Aaron. Or Kirk Presley, former Mets #1 draft pick. There you go. Two-1 from Dickey, and Presley bounces one to Tejada. Nice easy hop. And so Dickey is through 8 with a 9-0 lead. Big night for Dickey. Johnny O, the only Met to draw 100, and he had 125. Wow. He was quite a player.
Quite a hitter.
Base machine.
Fine player. Good man, too. Could not get him to go out of the strike zone.
By the way, Keith, you have a share of second place on that list. 97 walks in 1984.
That's right.
Darrell had 97 walks in 1987. You guys shared the record until Mullerwood came along. Ari Dickey will lead off for the Mets in the bottom of the 8th inning. So Ari is going to get a chance to bid for his second shutout of the season and the third of his career, as he takes a strike from Sean Gallagher. Dickey 1 for 2 and a sacrifice bunt at the plate tonight has helped extend the Mets pitching staff's hitting streak to 7 games, the longest in franchise history, and extend his hitting numbers, now 11 for 45 on the year. Argenis Diaz in front of the ground ball, throws out Dickey, one away. Let's check in with Gary Apple, see what's coming up tonight on Geico Sports Night.
Gary, thank you so much. Coming up tonight, going to have the latest on Chris Jenkins of the Jets, and the news is not very good on that front. And K-Rod, it just keeps getting worse for him. We'll have that and so much more when we see you tonight on Geico Sports Night.
Thanks, Gary. Here's Jose Reyes, who's had a good night at the plate. 2 for 3 and a walk. He's driven in 1. He's scored 3 to move into second place on the Mets all-time runs scored list. And he bounces 1 for the second baseman, LaRoche. And so Gallagher retires the first 2 here in the bottom of the 8th. And now Angel Pagan, who is 3 for 4 on the night. 2 singles, a double, 3 RBIs, a run scored. And scored in each of the first 4 innings, and that's been plenty for Dickey. Zach Duke was the starter for the Pirates. He got routed. Dickey on the other side working on a 3-hit shutout. And only one of the 3 hits has left the infield. 105 pitches through 8 innings for Dickey.
He hasn't had a stressful one yet. He's making up pitches today. What was it, 57 miles an hour on that one to Snyder?
Had him laughing as he struck out. Pagan bounces 1 down to first. Garrett Jones handles, and the side retired. 3 ground ball outs for Gallagher. Now we go to the 9th. Dickey bidding for the shutout with the Mets up 9-0. Paul Maholm as the Mets continue their 4-game set against the Pirates here at Citi Field. Mets-Pirates coverage begins with Subway pregame live tomorrow at 6:30, only on SNY. Pedro Siriaco pinch hitting for the Pirates, takes a fastball for a strike as R.A. Dickey starts the 9th inning, seeking his 3rd career shutout and his 2nd this year. He pitched a 1-hitter earlier this season. Working on a 3-hitter tonight. Siriaco has had 1 major league at bat, and he's batting 1,000.
As good of a hitter as Ray Searage
so far. Dave Liddell, another Met who finished his career with a 1,000 batting average. John Bowker on deck to pinch hit. Area Mercedes probables for the rest of the series. Henry Mejia takes a 3rd shot at starting in the major leagues. Goes up against Paul Maholm tomorrow night, and Mike Pelfrey tries to make it 15 wins up against Charlie Morton. Driven to right center field, and Siriaco is still hitting 1,000. This one goes to the wall, and he's flying to second base, taking the turn, and he'll get an easy 3. So Pedro Siriaco in his 2nd major league at bat had a double in his 1st, now a triple in his 2nd.
just stayed up there and didn't do anything. Out over the plate, belt high, went right with it. And that could cost him the old shutout.
Watch him fly, Keith.
It's like Jose. Look at him cut the turn there. Wow, jeez.
Long stride.
So Siriaco stands at 3rd with nobody out, and now John Bowker will be the pinch hitter. Hits one to short. That'll get the run in. So the shutout is broken. Reyes throws out Bowker for the first out, and the Mets lead is 9-1.
Boy, if you're top of it, you're kind of hot. You got a cheap RBI there.
Bowker. Bowker had been struggling. He needed it.
Yeah.
Andy LaRoche first pitch swinging, fouls it back. LaRoche up for the 2nd time. Fly to right field in the 7th inning. The Mets 9 runs and 14 hits. The Pirates 1 run and 4 hits.
This is going to be a hard game to look at. They're going to look at the paper tomorrow, and they're going to see all kinds of names on the sport page tomorrow.
Line off the glove of right. And safe at first is LaRoche.
Just didn't get the arm out. That ball was ripped.
And they're going to charge an error to David Wright, saying he should have caught that ball. So now a 1-out base runner for Garrett Jones. Jones is 1 for 3 on the night, singled back in the 4th inning. And the knuckleball taken low for ball 1. That's 116 pitches for Dickey. He's season high this year. It's 119. He's done that twice. There is action in the Mets bullpen as Jones takes a strike, 1-1. Hit sharply, base hit. And so Jones has his 2nd hit of the night, and the Pirates' 2nd hit here in the 9th inning. And so Dickey carrying the tire a bit.
Well, he should have had 2 outs right here, and another knuckleball that doesn't move. Dropped a little bit, not enough.
Dan Warthen's going to take a trip to the mound. And so that means that Dickey will get one more batter. Pat Mish up in the bullpen for the Mets in case Dickey can't finish.
Well, I'm sure they're going to prod him, and I'm sure that Jerry does not want to go to the bullpen.
Yeah, well, Dan Warthen's out there for 2 reasons. One, to see if Dickey still has something in the tank. And, you know, R.A., he's that kind of guy, always wants to stay in the game.
But if he gets into any further trouble, give Pat Mish time to get ready.
Don't forget, coming up right after the ball game, it's Lincoln Mercury post-game live. Chris Carlin, Bobby Ojeda will have all the highlights, all the analysis,
they've got
interviews, all that stuff.
They've got their work cut out for them tonight.
Highlights we have to show, offensive highlights.
Bobby O, you up to it?
Well, you got the offensive highlights. You got those great double plays that Tejada and Reyes turned. You got the stellar pitching of Dickey, including striking out 4 in a row in the 5th and 6th innings. Been a big night for the Mets. Alvarez 0 for 2, and he takes a strike, and it's 1-1. The Mets, if they win tonight, will get within a game of 500, and you'd have to say that 500's got to be a goal for this team, at least. Heading down the last 18 games of the season, including tonight. 1-1 to Alvarez, and it's popped up. Should be playable for David in foul ground, and that's the second out. So Alvarez still looking for his first hit back in his hometown. 0 for 6 in this series.
Well, you're talking about finishing 500. The Mets have a real advantage. A lot of their games are at home. I know this weekend they've got the Atlanta Braves who are fighting for the division. But other than that, they finish up 2 more games with Pittsburgh. They have Milwaukee that comes in for 4 games. Washington.
The season against the Nats. Yep.
You've got a Florida Marlin team that shut down Josh Johnson.
Brandon Moss up for the second time, takes ball 1.
So in between all of those games against teams that have had tough years, you're going to have Atlanta and Philadelphia.
Dickey up to 121 pitches, a season high. Moss takes a strike, 1-1. His career high pitch count is 131. He did that in 2004 for Texas, and back then he wasn't throwing knuckleballs. He was a conventional pitcher who occasionally would mix in something that looked a little like a knuckleball. 2-1 now to Moss. So I wonder, does he get just this batter, or would he get one more? The one more would be Argenis Diaz. He's on deck. Dickey's only had 2 career complete games. There's a strike. 2-2.
One more good one. One more good knuckleball.
And Moss keeps it going. Roche at second and Jones at first with 2 down. And a full count to Brandon Moss. Moss went to Pittsburgh from Boston, didn't he, in the Jason Bay deal?
You know, they thought always in Boston that Brandon Moss was going to be a big star. Did not pan out. This cowbell man.
He never leaves. The runners will take off on 3-2 to Moss. And it's pulled down to first. Fair ball for Ike Davis. He'll take it himself, and the ball game is over. R.A. Dickey throws 127 pitches en route to a complete game 5-hitter. His 3rd career complete game. The Mets offense and defense came alive as well. And the Mets rout the Pirates 9-1. They've taken the first 2 of this series.
Well, R.A. Dickey has been this story for the Mets this year. They're 14-9 in his starts. That is his 11th win. And just an outstanding job of saving the bullpen in this game that was all about the offense, Keith.
Well, you had 3 hit games from Pagan, Tejada. Beltran went 2 for 4, a solo home run with 3 RBI. Pagan had 3 RBI. Reyes 3 runs. Just a big day offensively all the way around.
All right, Dickey taking the ball and running with it. 8 scoreless innings and then gave up a run in the 9th. And the Mets win it 9-1 for Dickey's 11th victory of the season. We'll come back with much more from Citi Field in just a moment.